Thank you so much for joining me. This is the Tarot in White Oracle, where we get into the cloud. And today is all about our learning center. And I just wanted to talk about the basics of the Minor Arcana. For those of you that are curious or interested in learning more, we can dive into it because it's super fun. So basically, when you open your deck, you want to get all of your minor arcana and separate that from your major arcanas and separate that from your court cards, okay? Because you're going to have three groups when you open your deck: the minor arcana, the major arcana, and the court cards. So your minor arcana are 1 to 10, and there's 4 different suits. You've got your wands, which are like this. Number 2 is our cups, which look like this. Number 3 is our swords, like this. And then number 4 is our pentacles. They look like this. So you want to go ahead and divide them. I like to put the wands on top, then the cups, then the swords, and then the earth, because as we dive deeper, as you'll see in other videos, because I will be posting many videos in my learning center for free so everyone can learn. Basically, when you start to see the cards related to the tree of life, or what's called Jacob's ladder, and the dream that Jacob had in the Old Testament, you'll see that the 4 worlds in Kabbalah go from lightest to heavier energy. And the wands represent our first world, which is emanation. And then the cups represent our second world, which is creation. And then the swords represent the third world, which is formation. And our pentacles, or I like to call them coins, represent our 4th heaviest world, which is manifestation. So we'll go into that a lot more when we're talking about the tree of life, but since this video is focused on the minors, I just wanted to give that brief explanation. So that's why we divide them that way. So now you should have all of the wands on top and all your cups second, all your swords third, and then your heaviest energy, your earth, on the bottom. Now that everything is organized and you have all your major arcana out and all your court cards out, now you're only dealing with 40 cards. And so understanding them becomes a lot easier. So when we look at the minor arcana, we also want to look at the picture. Obviously, that's the first thing you're going to see. And that's going to give you a lot of information too. That's going to tell you, so if you look at this picture, you might see, she looks like she's planning, or she's wishing, she's thinking, she's looking out the window, she's not sure what to do. She's not very active, right? So the picture is going to give you a lot of information, and this is why different decks are more popular than others, because some artists, like the Light Seers artists, love her. One of my favorite decks, I think most people will tell you that, and that's because she's very inspired. Because when you also look at the next level, so all of her pictures will give you very good information about what that number and suit mean. But additionally, the colors in the card is the second layer of information. And the colors in the Light Seers deck is very much related to the planets and the signs of that card. So for example, this is a 3 of Wands, so this is an Aries. And Aries is red and fiery and purple and pink, and you'll see that all of her Aries cards resemble something like the Aries in color. Or if you want to look at our 5 of Pentacles, this is our Taurus. And of course, she's got the green here and some dark greens around here. There's a little bit of yellow, but it's a lot more earthy. So she's really good at blending the colors with the signs, but also the planet influences too. She's not like 100%, but most of the cards are like that. So the first level of information, of course, is it a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, or 10? Your other level of information is, of course, is it a wand, a cup, a sword, or a pentacle? And then your next level of information is what's happening on the card. And then your next level of information is What colors do we have? What symbols do we have? Because those are influencing energies. So let's start with our numbers. So when we look at our numbers, well, actually, let's go ahead and let's look at our suits first, and then we'll dive into the numbers and then the colors, and then get more information that way with the pictures. So when you look at here, what is a wand? A wand is all the fiery signs. So your Aries, your Leo, your Sag. And your wand is all about your soul, your motivation, your purpose, your will, your drive. Okay? So anything that is a wand has that value. And if you look at something that is a cup, this is your water, this is your emotion, this is your intuition, this is your love. Often it's also your psychic ability, your telepathic ability, but it's your intuition and your telepathic abilities and your psychic abilities are actually stronger with your wands. A lot of people don't realize that, but your wands are your highest level of energy, closest to heaven. And of course, your aces are your crowning energy. And so your Ace of Wands is the most powerful card in the deck in terms of possibilities, potentials, and such like this. So if you see a cup in your deck, you know, oh, it has to do with emotions and love and the heart space, your intuition. And it might even, depending on the number of the card, like if it's an ace or if it's the queen, it can have to do with your intuition, telepathic and psychic ability too. So then you want to look at your next suit, which is your swords. And your swords is all about the air signs. Oh, okay. So sorry, I forgot to tell you the signs. So the signs for your water, of course, is going to be Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces. So, and then we move into our air. So our air is all about our Libras, our Aquariuses, our Geminis. And what kind of space is that, right? This is our ideas, our thinking, our planning, and things like this. So if you see a card that is a sword, you know immediately, oh, this is the mind space. This has to do with thinking, planning, and such like this. Now, the swords do have a lot of cards that are viewed more negative, and that's because our mind can be a very confusing place, and we can get really caught up in negative mind cycles. And so there are a lot of shadowy cards, you might say, that have to do with the swords. So lastly, then we have our pentacles or our coins. And this, of course, has to do with the structures on earth and the things that we manifest on earth. So our houses, our jobs, businesses, money, things that you can hold with your hands, see with your eyes. So that's what the suits mean. So once you divide them all up and you know the suits, you know that, oh, this has to do with the soul, the motivation, the desire, or no, this has to do with your heart, your love space, or no, this has to do with your mind space, or this has to do with your earth and your structures on earth. So then your next level, of course, has to do with your pictures, and you can look at the pictures and easily see what's going on in many decks, and it really depends on the deck that's drawn to you. And then, of course, there's the colors, and you can feel the energy from the colors. So something else that's very interesting to know is, for example, say you have a fire card, and then you have, a cup card right before that. You also need to understand that the cup card is water, and the wands is fire, and water puts out fire. So you might be, this energy in a way is overtaking this energy. It's something to consider. It doesn't mean that it's not happening, but it might be dampening it out depending on the other color, the other colors and cards around. So there's also that to consider in another layer with the colors. And then also with the elements, understanding that air can be helpful to fire if there's a little bit of it, but if there's too much of it, it's going to blow it out, you know. So understanding the elements, understanding the suits, understanding the colors and the pictures all help to give you energetic information. So then lastly, and we'll wrap this up, has to do with the numbers. So 1 to 10 correlates to the numerology as well. And so with number 1, this is all about our thought space, right? And 1 in numerology has everything to do with beginnings, opportunities, potentials, self-reliance and independence, personal growth, freedom. And that's because nothing is set yet in 1. 1 is, this card represents infinite possibilities. So you have a lot of potentials here. You know, this is clarity of minds. All the solutions are coming to you. You know the direction to take. The truth has been exposed. You're starting a business, or you are starting a new life. All the potential is there, right? You're tapping into your emotions. You're starting a new relationship. The love between you and your partner is feels new and fresh. And then of course with your wands, it's like all these potentials are open to you. You can go in any direction, and you're very motivated and passionate, and the universe is behind you to back you up, because you're very connected to your soul in this card and your soul's path. So if we dive into the number 2, we get a little bit more information. These are your ideas, your forms, your choices, your partnerships. So this card can also represent partnerships, especially between soulmates and twin souls, because this is a very close to heaven card, which is what your soulmate and soul twin is. And it can represent that union that's about to happen, or that union that you're thinking of. But it also just has to do in general with planning, wishing, decisions. You're deciding something one way or the other. So when we look at number 2 numerologically, we have partnership, duality, choices, diplomacy. It's a period of waiting for a union. It can be a reunion. And so there's all that sense in your 2s. And then when you dive deeper with 3, you also have a numerological value that's expressed here, because 3 is a very spiritual number. And again, all these cards are going to be closer spiritually than the others, because the farther you get from the 1, the heavier your energy gets from heaven. 3 is a very blessed number, you might say. Past, present, and future, mind, body, and soul, the Trinity, mom, dad, and child make a unit, Brahma, Vishnu, and the Holy Spirit all together. So you have a lot of things in spirituality and in life that give us concrete examples of 3 being very special. Why is it special? Because it allows you your creativity, your spontaneity, your ability to move forward into a new future. You're building a future for yourself. You're opening doors for yourself. Abundance is coming. Creativity is coming. So number 3 numerologically also has to do with third parties. And of course, our 3 of Cups is our third party energy card. So you can understand that a little bit more. So our 4s, of course, have to do with building those foundations: patience, devotion, stability, concentration. The foundation is being set. It's the result of your ideas. And of course, number 4 is a strong union card or marriage card, or if you're in separation and then you're coming back together with soulmates and soul twins as well, because it's very close to heaven. So then we go to number 5, And numerologically, we've got versatility, new cycles and changes, courage, confident, challenges, obstacles, instability, tension, experiences. So this is what our 5 is. You know, we're leaving possibilities, we're planning, and then we're going to make it happen, and then we make it happen, and then things fall apart and we've got challenges to face. And then we dive into our 6s. 6s are all about what's above is also below. So when you get a lot of 6s in a reading, it's actually quite good because you are on your soul's path. You're listening to your soul. You're drawing what is above, below. And 6s are about communication, balance, harmony, adjustment, peace, comfort, healing, protection, family, compassion, and the ability to transcend difficulties. So these are our 6s. And then we have our 7s. And 7, of course, is a really beautiful number. God rested on the 7th day. And a lot of these cards have a sense of rest. She's resting, she's meditating, he's waiting, deciding what to invest in. So there is a sense of waiting, resting. 7s are also about reflection, reevaluation, adjustments, insightful, wisdom, intuition, mysticism. But they're also solitude, observing the world. There's not really much action taken in 7. 7 is more of a contemplative energy. So you have troubles, and then you're overcoming your troubles and you're leaving them behind. And then you're reflecting on the things that have happened so that you can learn from them. And then when we move to 8, 8's all about, you know, when you reverse that 8 up to the side, we get infinity. And so there is that symbol of infinity, and it's also the idea of you're breaking the cycle. So you're reflecting on things and you're finally breaking the cycles of things. It's linked to karma and your free will and justice to choose to break that cycle. And so there's a sense of walking away from those things and breaking yourself free, working hard to get away from those cycles that you might be caught in. There's a strong sense of progression. But it is the least emotional number. And then we move on to our 9s. And we do have a sense of nearing the end. The cycle is closing. And so you're almost done with all the lessons. The cycle is almost ended, but there's usually a lot of struggle involved. But because of that, you've learned a lot. You're able to harvest all of your hard work, your fruits. You're able to take responsibility now and be sympathetic and compassion to yourself as well as others more. And you're making sense of all of it, and it's a natural end, but it's a slower change. So, you know, of course, she's had a lot of struggle, but she's persevering and she's overcoming the challenges and she's almost done. And that's what our 9s represent. So then we go into our 10s. And 10, of course, is the end of the journey. You are coming to the end and you're letting things go. You're letting go of your burden. You're enjoying your kingdom. You're enjoying the things you've manifested and built. And you're letting go of the things, finally, that you need to let go of. And processing that healing. So 10 also has a really strong sense of a lot has been learned, a lot of wisdom, self-reflection, but it's also an ending, a conclusion, a chapter's coming to an end. But 10s now become a 1, and so a new beginning is going to emerge, because whenever you have an ending, a new beginning starts. You know, you have a plant outside, it dies, it leaves seeds, it's reached its 10, it dies, the seed is now 1, all the potentials that are right there, and it grows and grows, and it goes through this process of following its DNA and then growing a little bit more and then maturing. But now there's a storm it needs to weather through. The sun is too hot, there's not enough water. It learns how to be stronger, self-reflecting, and then it grows tough because of that, and it emerges stronger out of it, and then it dies, and starts all over again. So it's just the process of life, but this is a spiritual reflection, because everything I believe in life and nature is simply a reflection of what's happening spiritually that we can't see. So this helps us to understand what's going on. So hopefully you guys enjoyed that lesson, and the breakdown of how things can really just be a lot more simple, but as you dive a little deeper, things get, you know, a lot more interesting. So I would love to see you on the next Learning Center video if you'd like to learn more, all of our curious minds, and take care.